So, I was on the BG Web sharing call last night, and it was a Q&A session. They actually ended up doing 2 of them based on different people's time zone, and it lasted for a couple of hours. And it was people just, doing questions and giving concerns and figuring out ways to recover their funds in the event that the BG Web sharing flops. I know a lot of you out there have been commenting saying it's over, just deal with it, yada yada. You're excited to see BG, do what it's doing and going through what it's going through. And it could be the case, definitely could be the case. Seemed like the writing is on the wall, to say the least. But while on that call, there was a couple of things that was revealed and shared that I'll be sharing in other videos just to not make this video too long. But I think it's good to understand the thought process, so that way going forward you don't fall victim to something similar to this as I did and many others did as well, and you could just do your due diligence on the front end a whole lot better. So this is going to make us better individuals, and it should push us in the direction of assets and skill sets, is what I was saying. Understanding trading and how to get money out of the market, understanding assets from a long-term standpoint of quality things and entities and companies, etc., and having some ownership in that. It should push us in that direction, that way we learn from this scenario, not just get burned by the scenario in the event that it hits the fans. Now, it's just already hit the fan, and everybody's an expert when they know that everybody can smell it, if you know what I mean. But what I want to point out is this is something I decided to do, and this is just me. In the event that we're able to get our funds off of the exchange through some way, shape, form, or fashion, because there was some people who were hopping on there saying how exchanges are supposed to operate, and they had some legalities in there to the point where it could lead to some people maybe even recouping their funds in the form of lawsuits and things of that nature. I won't get too deep into the weeds of that, but in the event that we're able to recoup our funds from there, because I know people who got 6 figures on there, 5 figures on there. I had a few thousand in there, and some had any range you can imagine in there. But in the event we're able to get our funds, this is something I decided to do, and I wanted to share it on this call because this call had about 1,000 people on there. And if you know, if you were on the call, then you probably know. But it had about 1,000 people on there, because last time it was maxed out to capacity, so they had to buy some more space so more people can hop on. And this call had about 1,000 people on there for the duration of the call for the most part. But this is what I came up with. They've still been doing the trade, still posting the code, and people have still been using the code and doing the trades. I've been one of those people, which means that for the past couple of days, they're still showing as if the trades are successful. I know that may sound crazy, due to everything that's going on, and some people are looking at it like, nah, they're getting that final squeeze from people paying the taxes, etc. But I've been doing the trades. But what I've decided not to do anymore is the trades. I've decided not to do the trades anymore. So if they release the code today, and depending on when this video released, they may have not released the code yet, and depending on when you watch this video, you may have already used the code. So my apologies for just now sharing this thought process, but it just hit me when it came to me that I needed to share my perspective on this. But I'm no longer doing the trades. They're talking about May 7th, we're gonna find out whatever. May 7th could be, the ultimate extraction. I don't know what May 7th holds, but this is my thought process and why I'm not doing the trades is because we've gotten comfortable with the fact that typically when they're doing the trades, they're just trading 1% of the money. If there's a trade happening on the background anyway, you get the point. But we've gotten comfortable with the fact that if you had $1,000 in there, the only amount of money at risk was $10. That's 1% of that $1,000. And then if you earn whatever you earn, then boom, you might have made $6 twice a day for a total of $12. But it was just only risking 1% of your money. Okay. But if things are going a different direction and it's on the verge of a hostile takeover in terms of money being extracted out of the system altogether, or, people paying the tax and recouping the funds that way, I decided not to use the code, because what if they decide to leverage or use a bigger percentage. So for example, say they paste the code and on the back end or on the front end, we thinking, okay, they're just only risking the 1% of, the money because that's all they've been doing anyway. And we've gotten comfortable with that. But they flip it and they risk all of it or a huge chunk of it. And it takes a losing trade and then another losing trade or, whatever the case may be. And then it completely wipes out the money due to a losing trade because we used the code and assumed that it was just going to be 1% used, when in all actuality, a bigger percentage was used, money was lost, quote unquote, and it extracted and wiped out the accounts. Could that happen with or without using the code? Possibly. We're not in control of the site itself. But in the event that we're able to extract the funds out of it in some way, shape, form, fashion, if, things are not going the right direction, which, you already got your mind made up on what you think the direction of BG is. But in the event that we are able to get money off of the platform, I would rather not lose the money due to a losing trade because they chose to use a higher percentage. If they're going to take it, they already, they're going to take it in, and, we got to deal with the options that come beyond that, which I'll share some that I believe could be some options of possibly getting money back. Possibly. I say possibly because it could be a total loss, and then we have to take this as a seminar, as a lesson, as a, something to recover, bounce back from, and figure out, okay, now we need to learn how to fish for ourselves versus depending on somebody else to fish on our behalf and just do the copy trade and things of that nature. So that's how I'm looking at it wholeheartedly. Like, okay, learning lesson, publicly was wrong if that's the case, and public humiliation, as many people may consider it. All of those things. I'm on the front line sharing my journey, my experience with you all, and being willing to fail publicly. A lot of people not willing to do that. And I see all the comments for the most part. Some of them, I disregard. So people are saying whatever they're saying. And, my skin is thick enough to where I can handle whatever it is that they're saying. They've included me in videos, yada, yada. But genuinely to the core, my integrity is intact. I'm a real person, and those who know. They know I'm not out here on no scamming type stuff, nor am I going to be pushing the next best thing in order to get you to join that. Nah, I want you to get equipped with skill sets and assets, period, point blank. So I ain't pushing it. Will people be doing it? Absolutely. Will people be moving to the next project and telling you, hey, I found something that, could be better than BG? Absolutely. Will people be saying, hey, it's not as good as BG, but you can at least get this, and then you recruit and da-da-da? Absolutely. People will be doing that. I am just choosing not to do that. I want to go down a route of skill sets, understanding the game of trading and getting money out of the market strategically, and understanding how it works, but simplifying it in a way that I feel is duplicatable for the masses, because the masses were in BG from a standpoint of, hey, I don't want to necessarily do the trades. I just like to benefit off somebody else doing it for me. So the masses were willing to do that because learning the art of trading is a whole nother language within itself. And a lot of people are not willing to go down that path because it's so many different learning curves and things you got to learn. And with anything like that, it takes commitment, consistency, and most people tap out beforehand. But if it could be a simplistic way that people can learn, just simple things that they can do in order to still be profitable, then that's the path I want to learn. Not that I can't figure it out, but I want to be a resource for those who are willing to learn how to extract money out of the market, but they just need a simplistic manner to follow. And I think I found a way for people to learn. Nothing out of pocket for you, and but I'll share that at a later date in terms of things that can help you develop the skill set, not buy into somebody else's project or depend on somebody else to do the trading for you. That's not the angle that I'm personally taking. That's that. But I just wanted to share that with you. I'm not doing the trades because what if they change the percentage and then they wipe it out based on a losing quote unquote trade? Not wipe it out just because, it was just a hostile takeover and they just shut down the exchange, etc. Either can happen. But that's just the thought process that came to me. So that's what I've decided to do. Make sure my wife, does the same. And you do what you wish with that information. That's all I got for this video. But I got a couple of more that I'm going to roll out that I want you to look at. A couple of it, included some documents and things that, I dove deeper into. And I want to just share what my findings were with you. Mr. Smith, signing out. Salute.